Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Thulcandra, A Dying Wish, out October 29th on Napalm Records. This album has 10 tracks, 45 minutes in length, and this is the band's 4th full-length studio album. They are a German melodic black death metal band. Now this record offers a lot of dualities. Perhaps the first one is how smooth, how easy the overall construction of this album is. You really feel like you're taking zero effort as far as navigating through it. The album is doing all the work for you, and it's putting a very clear and linear path in front of the listener. On the other hand, you have the volatility of sound and the volatility of the atmosphere, and you're somewhere in between those worlds, and that is the beauty of the structure that really allows you to connect the way this album is designed with the soundscape and then the atmosphere that it creates. Once you get into the soundscape, you feel like the acoustic guitars are the first talking point because they're almost everywhere. There's 2 interlude tracks that are pure instrumental acoustic songs that really bind this record together in areas where perhaps the acoustic element is not as predominant. This really becomes the red line that connects the entire album. If there's one element that really guides your experience, that makes perhaps this album feel more continuous, is the use of acoustic guitars. I like the design, I like the idea, I like the concept. I'm not necessarily sure if I like the execution. Having those acoustic guitars nearly always in the same spot on multiple songs makes it feel a little bit repetitive. As a listener, I want to dive deeper into the album, and I want to discover that element sprinkle out throughout the record and almost make me feel like I know something that nobody else knows. When you have it right in front of you and it repeats itself song in and song out, it takes a little bit away from the listener. It takes the power away from the listener to discover the element. Now the element is just there and it loses a little bit of its luster. Outside of the acoustic element, this album has a lot of heaviness. It has a lot of grittiness. You see it in the sound, and then you see it in the soundscape pushing into the atmosphere that it creates. It's definitely one of the calling cards. The merger of melody with heaviness becomes the defining factor of what you are experiencing in this album, song in and song out. They always weave between one and the other, and you always feel like one is pushing the other. Together they become this robust motor that drives the sound forward, that drives every single song forward, and it takes the listener along with them for that ride. One of the elements that really pushes the song forward is the drums. First of all, I love the drum sound on this album. It has heaviness, it has power, it has oomph, it expands. It feels like it's creating a very large footprint for these songs, even though everything that's within the songs feels more controlled, it feels more compact, more cohesive. But that bass line, that foundation created by the drum sound feels absolutely exponentially bigger than the songs themselves. This allows the tracks to feel more robust all around and allows the guitars then to be more dynamic, because the guitars are very dynamic. You're going to get the acoustic side, you're going to get the melodic side, and you're going to get the heavy side. All of them are weaving, all of them are connecting with one another, and they don't feel like they don't belong together. They don't feel like one element is surpassing the other. They're just perfectly intertwined, they're perfectly weave. It's another reason why the sound feels so consistent, why the sound feels so big, so robust, so powerful. You have the drums doing its thing behind it, expanding that footprint, and then having the guitars being this interconnected with different styles and different approaches, but all as one, really allows this to feel like a big record all around. Vocally, super consistent. What you get in the beginning is exactly what you're going to get all the way through. The element of the vocals that really spoke to me is that specifically on this record, it felt more like a narrator than just vocals. It felt more like telling a story or diving deeper within the thought process of the lyrical content and how that lyrical content interacts with the overall feelings and atmosphere and mood that this record puts forward. So I felt that the vocals on this record were more of a conduit to that message, were more of a conduit to that feeling of atmosphere that the record has than just vocals on an album. All around, I enjoy this record. I think this is a very powerful record. It has a lot of great elements. The only thing that I didn't like was that overuse of the acoustic guitars. I like the concept, I don't like necessarily the execution. Outside of that, this is a very robust, really well-crafted album that feels almost like a nod to one of Dissection's records. It has that sense, it has that construction style, it has that approach, it has that red line, the production is there, the overall soundscape feels very gritty at times, very raw. So this really feels a nod to that old school melodic black death metal sound of Dissection, represented so well by Thulcandra, keeping their DNA alive and well within this experience that becomes A Dying Wish, this incredible record. Now, as far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with the Slivering Silver. acoustic guitar opening, and you're going to see this becomes a trend across these 3 songs, which just goes to show you exactly what I was saying earlier in terms of reusing one element in the same spot, becoming a little bit redundant. The guitars then open up, the drums are consistently heavier, they lay the path as far as this track is concerned, and then the guitars drive on top of that road. This becomes a little bit of a penetrating sound as far as the guitars go. They really feel like they're cutting through, allowing for some dips. This is a track that is not linear. No, you're not going to find a lot of songs on this record that are linear, that what you get in the beginning is what you're going to get all the way through. And this song really represents that well. It's very dynamic, it's very fluid. The guitars are going in different places. They're creating different atmospheres. The tracks change atmospherically as you progress through them in terms of how dynamic those guitars are, with the ups and downs of the melodic and heavier side coming together and then breaking apart. That's exactly how this track comes across. The tempos change, the eyesight of the listener changes because the songs are going up and down with ebbs and flows. Super dynamic. The vocals feel more haunting at times, going towards what I was saying earlier of being a narrator, of allowing the atmosphere to come from the lyrical content and then connect with the sound and give you a much broader picture all around. That's exactly how this song comes together. Next we have Devouring Darkness, incredible track, once again starting with an acoustic intro. Then it starts to build, becomes more melodic, it becomes heavy, it mixes those two together. You really feel like those are elements that are just becoming almost as one. They intertwine and become just as one, allowing the track to still morph as it progresses. It never really stays still. It's always adding something, it's always losing something, but it's always growing. That is the absolute delight of a track like this. At times you feel like the song is dulling your emotions, and then at times you feel like the song is jolting them. So you're never really sure where you are, but you're either in one place or in another. There's no in between. That's exactly how this song navigates all the way through. It has the vocals once again coming in more as a narrator in order to guide your experience, in order to tell you or to paint you a better picture of what the atmosphere of what this song is about, and then bringing it all together as one. Last but not least, the last track on the album, A Dying Wish, acoustic intro once again, and then it starts to become almost an instrumental track. This song has a really prolonged intro. It works really well because it's the last song on the album, and this offers a sense of finale or dragging out, almost as you're losing a little bit of your life as the song progresses. So there's that experience built in the instrumental portion that starts off this track. It builds, it progresses, it starts to move. The vocals become more predominant. I felt that this was a track where the vocals lost a little bit of that narrator approach of the 2 previous songs and became a little bit more focused, and they became part of that spotlight. So you feel like the sound, the drums, the guitars, everything else is around the vocals and not necessarily the other way around as it was in the 2 previous tracks. The guitars still cut through, the drums become the backdrop, still very heavy, the foundation of the soundscape, but they're never still. This is a track that has ebbs and flows musically and even vocally. You feel like there are a few changes here and there that change your perception of the track. Also, the omission of vocals in certain portions of the song, allowing the instrumental part of the track to take a little bit more of center stage, allowing the sound to dictate how you feel, not necessarily taking you towards where the vocals are and the lyrics. It's just about the sound. This is a song that becomes a little bit of a duality, as it is the whole record, which you have sound that creates experience, and then you have the vocals that come in, and when they do come in, they create a different kind of experience. So you're always caught in between these 2 worlds, the world of a track without any vocals in it and the world of the track with the vocals in it. This song has 2 different feelings, has 2 different atmospheres depending on which part of the track you're in. Really interesting song, the way it's constructed and delivered to finish off this record. This is it, Thulcandra, A Dying Wish, out October 29th on Napalm Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.